And then we get Sabbath Bloody Sabbath that comes out 1 year later, 1973. And from what I've heard, the history behind that one, they wanted to do the recording again in Los Angeles, but they couldn't get they couldn't get inspiration at that point. So they locked themselves in a dungeon of a castle somewhere in England. And, they were all constantly freaked out in there because they thought they saw ghosts and everything, and that brought the inspiration back. So,
okay.
So the legend goes.
Yeah, I think I've heard some similar stuff. I think they were young, impressionable, and high off their gourds. So I think, it was not so hard for them to get that sort of feeling. But musically, you start out with the title track, which is another one of the great Iommi riffs, especially the one, the main riff is a great riff. The riff at the end is just, for me, it's even better. But my God, it's a different sound. You put on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and his guitar sound is such a different sound now from what you had on the previous 4 albums. You're getting they sound like Norelco Razors in some ways. He was experimenting with his tone and getting a very different sound here. And as good as it is, it's a different sound. And then, we have some poppier moments like Killing Yourself to Live. National Acrobat is a classic. Sabracadabra is a classic. I believe this is also the album where you have, I think Rick Wakeman guested on this album. Let me check that out.
You are correct. He was brought in as a session player, and he played on
track
Sabracadabra.
Yeah. Right. Rick Wakeman is one of rock and roll's greatest and funniest characters, and one of the most badass musicians who ever lived. But he is a hilarious man, and he got along famously with those guys. And in those days, Rick Wakeman could drink anyone under the table, including those guys. And they brought him in, and he played some keys for them on that, and became lifelong friends with Tony and those guys. And you're thinking, this is the same man who plays all this classical stuff on the Yes albums, and you think, on the Sabbath album? Yes, well, this is what happened. So,
what a cool time to be alive, man. That must have been.
Yeah, especially if you're a young rock star in LA with the world at your feet. So, I think of the Ozzy albums, this is for me where it's starting to get a little bit spottier. It's a good album. I like the first 4 better, and I like Sabotage better than this, oddly enough. But this is considered one of the great Sabbath albums too. It's not that it's a bad album. It's just you're starting to see some experimentation here that I don't think is working so much. Like Who Are You? Not the Who song, Who Are You? It's a completely different song. But Looking for Today, those things to me are sort of like Sabbath dipping in their toe into some different areas and trying to experiment. And, some of it works and some of it works less, in my opinion. But, you still have a lot of goodness here.
Standout tracks for you?
I love A National Acrobat. I love Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I don't think Ozzy's ever sang that high since. At the end of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, if they ever did it in concert, he didn't sing that stuff past the, when the tempo changes towards the end. On the studio album, he sings some really high stuff that I don't think he's really capable of past those days.